Could there be a Raised on Radio Part 2? I'll tell you coming right up. Stay tuned. Hello everybody, Gary Stuckey here. Welcome back to another episode of Steve Perry News. And Steve has been kind of quiet since he did the In My Room a cappella version of the Beach Boys song, right, a few weeks ago. And haven't really heard anything. But Journey's been kind of making some announcements. They canceled their tour. And then Neal Schon's hinting around pretty hard that Narada Michael Walden is going to be the drummer for Journey, and Randy Jackson is coming back to play bass. That's the rumor, and it's over on Instagram. Somebody asked, is Randy coming back? And Neal had put Narada on there on a post. Narada Michael Walden, I think he produced. He's going to play on Neal Schon's new solo album, and of course they're friends and everything. And Narada's played on everybody's album. He comes from that same background as Steve Smith, that jazz fusion, and he's played on Aretha Franklin and Mariah Carey, Whitney Houston. He even played on Starship, Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now, right? That's pretty cool. I was looking that up earlier. Of course, Randy Jackson from American Idol. He played on Raised on Radio. But what does that have to do with Steve Perry, you say? Two separate things, right? Because Steve is not in the band anymore. Some people get upset if you bring him back into the picture. It's just the fact that, with the possibility, all we're waiting for is an official announcement, but with Randy Jackson coming back, it reminds you of the days of Raised on Radio, and Steve Smith, Ross Valerie were out, and Randy Jackson was in, so it's very similar, right? I mean, it's history repeating itself. What's going on, right? Some of the same things are happening. Is Herbie Herbert going to come back? And is Steve going to do something? Is Steve going to come back? And a lot of people are already cringing because for whatever reason, they don't like this idea. But here's the thing. If you remember, a couple years ago, before Steve came out with his solo album, Traces, Neal was on Rock and Roll Roadshow with Sammy Hagar talking about Steve and talking about Steve's new album. And he said he wanted to collaborate with Steve. And he was talking about how Steve likes R&B, and he really wants him to work with a guy named Narada Michael Walden, right? And I think this was before Neal's solo project was mentioned. I'm not really sure. I have to go back and look. I got to find that video. But if you remember, he said he really wanted Steve to work with Narada, right? That was his hope. He said they might not work together as Journey, but he would like to work with him, because he's got that R&B thing going on, and it would be great. So it sounds to me like with Randy Jackson back, and it does sound like Raised on Radio, but is Neal trying to get these guys in the band to kind of appeal to Steve, to kind of say, hey, I got what you wanted, these guys are perfect to play with, because that's the direction the band was going in for the Raised on Radio album. They went from kind of the rock, arena rock, to kind of like the R&B, which was a cool sound. I really do like that album, and it would be really cool for now, And of course, Arnell is still around, but is that the hope that maybe Steve could come back too, or maybe do some kind of recording together? Because that was Neal's hope a couple years ago. Go look that up on Sammy Hagar's Rock and Roll Road Show, or Road Trip, or whatever it is. But that's his hope. That was Neil's hope that they could work together, that he and Steve and Narada could do something. And now it just seems fitting with Randy Jackson coming in that a Raised on Radio Part 2 might be in the future. And if not with Steve, with Arnell, but that sound could be on its way back. So a Raised on Radio Part 2, we'll have to wait and see. I think it would be cool, and it's a possibility. So Neil is, to me, he's still shooting for Steve and kind of wanting to appeal to him. That's just my opinion. What do you think? And I've got another video coming up I've been telling you about, and probably do it today. So stay tuned. And whatever you do, don't stop believing. This is Gary Stuckey. God bless you.